Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and privilege to have back on the show the undisputed king of partying, Mr. Andrew W.K. He has a new album, You're Not Alone, will be released on March 2nd via Red Music / Sony Music. And we're going to be talking to him about that. And I'm very excited to have Andrew back on here. So how's it going, Andrew?
I'm partying, as I'm sure you are.
Party, party, party every day.
Yes, sir.
What's impressed you or excited you the most about making this new album? What's caught your eye about, if anything, possibly?
Well, it's been closing in on 2 decades of me having the chance to engage in this business, to have a career in music making and entertainment, and most importantly, a career in partying. And the longer it goes on, the more amazed I am that I get to do it at all. And this album really drew a lot of those realizations together in one set of songs. I mean, I've been working on the album for a long time, a little too long, I think. It wasn't intentional. I didn't want it to take this many years to complete, but it did. And during those years, I was able to reflect on the blessings I've been so generously given. And, you know, I don't take it for granted that I still am getting to do this, that I'm getting to talk to you right now, that anyone possibly might care about what I have to offer at all. And I hope that people, first and foremost, are aware that how thankful I am for their support.
Yeah, I mean, your music's pretty awesome, man. And I think what you have behind the music, I hope a lot of people see this. To me, when I listen to your music, and not just one song, many songs, it's all positive. It's all inspiration. It's like a motivational speech from each song to each song. Do you feel that way in your writing when you write your songs?
Well, I am going for good feelings. That is the truth, and I'm glad that you get that out of it. I'm glad to think that it resonates in all the work that I'm engaged in. That's first and foremost what I was trying to do for myself. You know, I'm someone who I'd say hasn't been blessed with a surplus of positive emotions. You know, I have, I'd say, generally felt pretty uneasy in the world. So I was looking to devote myself to something that made me feel better, and wanted to make music that was about how I didn't feel, how I wanted to feel. If I felt bad, I wanted to feel amped up. If I felt scared, I wanted to feel brave. If I felt negative, I wanted to feel those positive feelings. And music gave me those feelings in waves of pleasure. So that is the focus of my work, and the fact that you were able to get that out of it, or anybody else can feel that, that makes it even more meaningful. That it's just not just me, it's others can get that positive party feeling too.
Any songs, Andrew, off the new album that stand out more to you, any on as of right now? I mean, I know it probably changes from week to week, but are there any that really stand out for you possibly?
Well, it does change, obviously. I mean, sometimes the songs, I've noticed this from past albums I've done, the song that I felt the best about at one point will soon become sort of my least favorite, and then a song that I almost thought should have been left out of the album will become one of the most important songs to me. I'd say, actually, for example, the title track of this new album, the song called You're Not Alone, was initially going to be left off the album. And a strange thing happened where my manager called me and had been listening to some of the other songs, and he said the feeling that he was getting from these other songs was this feeling that he wasn't alone. And he even suggested then that I should call the album You're Not Alone. And I was completely, actually a bit scared by how insightful he was, because he hadn't even heard the song You're Not Alone, didn't even know I had that one. And I said, well, you must be psychic, and that must be a sign that I should include that song on the record. So there's always strange things like that happening. I'd say that, you know, more than any other album that I've done, and this wasn't intentional because these songs were written over the course of 10 years. I mean, the oldest song on here goes back to 2005, but this is a very cohesive album. The themes are very consistent, even though it wasn't a conscious effort to make a conceptual styled album. I think there is a powerful feeling that hopefully runs through for the listener. And in that way, I think of it almost as one big song.
Who produced this album?
Well, it was produced, like most of them, it was primarily produced by me. There's an executive producer and some overseers that certainly have a lot to do with, I'd say, not as much the sound, but sort of the general tones and textures of the work. And then what's really important to me is the engineering of the album, and that is an amazing man named Ted Young, who I've been working with for over 10 years now, and he also mixed the album. So it's a group effort, I'd say, as all, great parties seem to involve more than one person. This is a result of a lot of partying and a lot of people at the party.
Working with all these people, though, Andrew, on this, in the producing and plus in the engineering and everybody's feedback, is it, do you get taken back sometimes on what they have to bring to the table in this little group for you when you're putting this album together, or any album?
Yes, but it's almost overwhelmingly good feedback. Now, it doesn't mean it's always positive feedback, but it's always constructive, and I try to have the strength to take their input and even their criticism and let it direct the work towards its best place. For example, as I said, my manager's suggestion about the album title, I never would have thought to call this album "You're Not Alone," but something about what he was saying rang true, and I had to set aside my own ego or my own desire to be in control of everything and listen to, I think, what the party gods, destiny is telling me to do. For example, there's 3 tracks on the album that are just me talking. It's motivational speaking. They're quite short tracks, but that was an idea I never would have had. That came from an amazing woman I work with on the management team called Karen Glauber, and Karen said, what if you had a track of you just talking and trying to amp up the listener, giving them a motivational speech about life? And I just knew that was, a great idea. It didn't matter if I came up with it or someone else. So I always try to listen to the good ideas and let them contribute to the better of the work, the bettering of the work.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea from her. Honestly, man, seriously, that's really good.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
Did you have any input of what you were looking for on the cover art, possibly for this album? Because I know you worked with some awesome artists on this, Boris Vallejo and plus Julie Bell. Did you have any input with these folks, or did you just let them say, just go ahead and do what you want, and we'll go from there? Or let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking about the album artwork, and getting to work with these 2 painters. Boris Vallejo and Julie Bell are the king and queen of fantasy art and have been the reigning royalty for many, many, many years now, decades. And it was always a lifetime dream of mine to somehow work with them, and it just happened for this album through a series of very fortunate events. And one of the great things about working with them is how open they were to ideas and collaboration. And we went through many concepts for this album cover and the painting, and what an idea that seemed very strong and that we were all very clear on would suddenly sort of erode and fall apart, and we'd have to go back to the drawing board. And in the end, this painting cover idea was in quite stark contrast to some of the other ideas we were initially working on that were more over the top. And this one has a stillness and a kind of static intensity that actually I think all my other album covers have. If you look at all the album covers, they all have a kind of still intensity. But I couldn't be happier with the final result, and getting to work with them was a pleasure and a privilege and a real highlight for my entire career.
Do you still see yourself growing musically, or has it just been more of a personal growth in general for you during this journey?
Well, you'd like to think that practice pays off. I mean, I've been getting to do this now for just about 2 decades, and I've been, for example, playing piano since I was 4, so that's almost, I guess that's 34 years. You'd like to think that you're growing or improving, but what's most important to me is I don't think of it as reinvention or even evolution so much as growing in my ability to hit the mark that I'm meant to hit. I don't want to hit a bunch of different marks. I want to hit this one bullseye of party power. And I think that through practice and through continuing to try to aim and hit that mark, you get better at hitting it. It's like climbing a mountain. I'm still climbing the same mountain that I set out to climb when I was 4 years old, which was trying to reach this place of euphoric pleasure through music, through life, through work. And I'm not giving up on this mountain. I haven't reached that pinnacle peak mountaintop yet. I'm going to keep using whatever resources I have and developing my strength so I can keep climbing that mountain, hopefully someday get there.
I've always said this, and when I talk about, I do my top 20 albums or top 20 rock bands, stuff like that. I mean, you when you do a countdown like that, you have to add you in that. You have to.
That's very kind of you. Well, thank you. I don't know what to say. Many people would not, but if you add me in there, that means a great deal to me.
Well, the people are just idiots. I'll just...
Well, you said it, not me.
What can fans expect at a show from you who have not got to see you live as of yet, Andrew?
Well, if I can say so, I think the band that I've been blessed with, the live band members, are second to none. They're just incredible people. Some of them have been with me since 2000. Their loyalty's been unbelievable, and some of the newer members are the best members we've ever had. And that's not to disrespect any of the past band members I've had the pleasure of playing with. It just is a sign that, like we talked about, of improvement and development and increasing strength. And I think as far as a live show, we have the best version of the Andrew W.K. live experience that we've ever had. We are operating at the height of our powers right now, and it really is largely thanks to this incredible group of individuals that have decided to join me on stage for this party quest.
Support-wise, is there an area or location that shocks you or surprises you that you get support from that country, possibly, maybe?
No, there's places that I wish we had more success than we've had, and I'm constantly sort of frustrated and surprised, but also very motivated. There's a lot of places we haven't even gotten to go yet. Even doing this for almost 20 years, there's tons of areas of the country, of the world, that we haven't even played in yet. So, in a good way, I still feel like it's only just started. There's still so much before us, ahead of us, out there for us to explore and to conquer. And what's going to allow us to do that is all the incredible support and belief in the people who've already signed on to this adventure.
Folks, You're Not Alone will be released March 2nd via Red Music / Sony Music from Mr. Andrew W.K., the undisputed king of partying. And I must say, please go out and pick this album up, support him. I've always dug his music ever since the first time I heard him. So how can folks stay in touch with you, Andrew, pick this album up, tour dates? How can they do that, my man?
Well, as you can imagine, you can just go to andrewwk.com or really just type in any website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and put Andrew W.K. at the end, and you'll find me.
Before I let you go, good sir, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Sure, John. Hello, this is Andrew W.K. just reminding you that we're partying very hard right here on BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you, man.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the long-term support.
Not a problem, good sir.